Hi folks, Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about um, attending a medical centre. I've got an elderly relative, and I've mentioned this in other essays about how difficult it is, and there's been a sort of couple of instances recently where I'm reminded of these difficulties. Now, as soon as I need to, in fact, for any reason, if I need to go to the doctor myself or taking an elderly and semi-infirm relative, it fills me with dread. I think, oh, fuck, no, I've got to run the gauntlet. It's difficult. It's dealing with people who don't speak English, dealing with people who are so simple-minded that they've got to be retarded, and dealing with doctors that their English is so bad, or from the third world, and they're really just operating off a checklist and something that as far as I'm concerned, any high school kid can do, but they're supposedly have reached a high standard of studies in the area of medicine. I doubt it, actually. Some of them are just no. They're all affirmative action, or many of them are affirmative action appointments. But I was reminded of that today. So arriving for an appointment. This is a few days ago. Actually, arriving for an appointment, and they've got a sort of habit now at these medical centres of there are no shows and people who arrive late, this sort of thing. So they instead of scheduling the appointments properly or in any sort of systematic manner, they just have three or four appointments for 3 or 4 people for the same time. So the appointments, for example, 11 o'clock in the morning, there are 3 or 4 people there who arrive for the same 11 o'clock appointment. Now, if it just so happens the same 3 or 4 people arrive, then whoever they see them in order of who arrived first. Now, they've got other things they do at these medical centres where if a case comes in as urgent, then they'll bump people down the queue, and then the urgent case goes in first. So the urgent case can be somebody who doesn't speak English, so what's the definition of urgency isn't a medical urgency. It's an urgency that a socially deprived, as they would see it, person is seeking medical care, and they just walk in off the street, and they're given that care and bump the other people down the list. So if you happen to be white and speak English, then the straight white male type thing, then you're entitled to a lesser standard of medical care. Now, there's various things. You try and telephone to make an appointment, and it's hard work. You can often be on the phone for 30 minutes or more, so you've got to put it on speakerphone while you're doing something else, and walk around and keep the phone with you and that sort of thing, and you might get through. Sometimes even after 30 minutes you don't. It's almost easier to drive in there and make an appointment, physically, or make. They've also got apps now. These apps that you can download, they ask a lot of very personal questions that are already on file and at the medical centre, and are already on file. And each time you log in, they've got another question, another thing that you have to tell them, and you can't progress making your appointment. You can't go through the menu of making the appointment unless you answer these questions. And a message pops up, so you don't have to agree. You don't have to answer these questions. It just means you can't use the app. So there are various things like that go on, which to me are, hold on a minute, what's going on here? Is this a special data collection interception point where you're in? It's where you can get someone in a vulnerable position and demand that they declare information that they don't legally have to, say they've got a choice, but then deny them the capacity to make a medical appointment unless they agree. So to me, that's not a choice there. They're effectively forcing you to do it. Now, because I'm looking after my relative here, she can't navigate all this on her own. So I got to wonder what happens to these elderly people who've got no one to look out for them. I mean, what goes? It's a worrying sort of thing. Anyway, so I get to the the medical centre, and I've waited for an hour while all these other appointments, and so and they offer you an option. So, well, if you want immediate service, then you have to pay $25 extra. And if you want a guaranteed doctor that speaks English as a first language, then you have to pay $75 extra. If you want the choice of a doctor to do such and such, then you pay. So you can be paying like $100 per appointment extra if you want choice. If you don't want choice, or if you're not prepared to pay for the choice, then you have to accept whatever they give you, and that'll be a doctor that doesn't speak English or barely speaks English, and just operates off a checklist. I'm not sure they know anything about medicine. It's beyond me how they could have passed any impartial, independent, rigorous medical examination. I just don't believe they have, these people. They just, again, stick to the checklist, assuming you can even understand what they're saying. Now, I'm pretty patient, and I speak a number of languages, and I've traveled the world many times over on business, so I've probably got a more open-minded view and a broader view of different accents and all that sort of stuff. So I listen. I can sort of make it work, but it's not me sitting there with an infinite amount of time. It's me helping my relative, and she'd be lost without the help. Now he's going into a medical centre again, so this was afterwards. Another few days down the track, and what happens here is the service is so shoddy. The medical care is so shoddy that it kind of forces you to come back and do something. You need to take 2 passes to do something that should have been done in a single pass, and done and dusted and out the way. So really, they're creating problems for themselves. But the sort of people that are on the desk, so trying to make another appointment. Here's an Asian lady who's pleasant enough. She speaks a language that I don't speak, but has that very, very sort of Chinese. Her English is very poor, by the way. They're very Chinese thing where they can't understand approximate. They don't get approximate. Do you want an appointment? Do you want an appointment today? Say no. It's I don't need an appointment. Oh, fully booked today. We fully booked. No, but I don't want an appointment today. Fully booked. Tomorrow is where. Oh, why tomorrow? Why you want tomorrow? And so you have to go through a sort of a difficult process here. So when do you want an appointment? Oh, sometime in the middle of the morning. Oh, middle morning. What do you mean middle morning? So, all right, so somewhere between, say, 10:30 and 11:30. 10:30. No appointment for 10:30. No, somewhere between 10:30 and 11:30. 11:30. No appointment for 11:30. No. In between, it's approximately appointment for 10:45. Well, that's approximate. No, I'm wasting my time trying to do this. Now, remember, I'm doing this on someone else's behalf, and you've already been waiting in a queue for 10 or 15 minutes, watching so many people that don't speak English trying to talk to other people who don't speak English, and it's laborious, painful exercise. Why do they employ these people like this? And there's another black lady there who's got some African accent sound, but and she's got to be intellectually challenged. I just don't believe that person has got an IQ above 80. So these are sort of challenges that you have. Now, my relative is partially incontinent, so it's not easy to sort of hang around for hours while these idiots, these incompetent, don't speak English, don't know what they're doing idiots, try and work something out. I've got to take care of her and take her to the washroom and that sort of stuff. So, but anyway, you can finally navigate your way through it, but diabolically bad service, and the doctors aren't asking the questions that need to be asked. So I have to go in with her and say, okay, well, doctor, what about this? Why that? And I've got to ask a lot of questions and go through it very carefully. I mean, my relative can't do it, and the doctor doesn't seem to understand the issues well enough to be able to ask the questions in order to give the proper level of medical care. So it's only because I'm there that's getting done. If I wasn't there, it wouldn't get done. So again, what happens to the white people who've got no one to look out for them? What happens to them? They're getting. I mean, it's without doubt they're getting inadequate, if not piss poor, medical care and medical attention. And I would speculate on a number of occasions they're being given the wrong medical care that may even be injurious to their health rather than fixing it. So I look at these things with dread of having to go into the medical centres because of this level of ineptitude and so few people that speak English well enough, whether they be the staff in the front desk or the doctors. Now, on top of that, the staff aren't paid. I mean, they're not paid much. It's not a well-paying job being on a front desk in a medical centre, and I think that's reflected in because the people don't care. I've gone to the medical centre at times where there's no one on the desk, so I stand there patiently waiting, like the sign says, and they're all having a chat about what happened last night, or one of the ladies' boyfriend is an asshole, and they're having a talk about. You can hear what they're saying. You can even see it. They'll even look over their shoulder and see you there, and they'll still keep on going. The idea of customer service, I think they don't give a shit, but they're prepared to fight to the death over defending the policies that they're supposed to adhere to. So the whole medical situation needs a real shake-up if any sort of quality medical care is to be injected into the process. And right now it isn't. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.